First Bible Stories, Jonah and the Whale, and Other Bible Stories. Read aloud for you by Little Angel Reader. Contents: Elijah and the Ravens, Jonah and the Whale, Daniel and the Lions. Elijah and the Ravens. 1 Kings chapters 12, 16 through 19. When Solomon, the king of Israel, died, the land was divided into two. Solomon's son Rehoboam ruled in the south, but in the north Jeroboam ruled. Jeroboam and the kings who came after him did not worship God. One king, Ahab, married a woman called Jezebel and took her god Baal as his own. Cruel Queen Jezebel had many of the prophets killed, but one prophet still spoke out in praise of God. His name was Elijah. Elijah told King Ahab that rain would never again fall in Israel unless God said so. God sent Elijah away to live on the other side of the river Jordan, where he stayed for 3 years. God watched over him and sent ravens with food. In all that time, it did not rain once. Then God told Elijah to return to Ahab. Elijah stood before Ahab. "You have disobeyed God," he told the king. "Send the followers of your god Baal to me on Mount Carmel, and I will show them who is the true God." When everyone had gathered, Elijah challenged the prophets of Baal. "Offer a bull to Baal, and I will offer one to God. The true God will send fire from heaven to set his altar alight." The priests of Baal prayed, but nothing happened. Elijah did the same, and as he prayed, the altar burst into flames. The people cried out, "The Lord is the one true God!" Jonah and the Whale. Jonah chapters 1 through 4. Jonah was a prophet of God, but not a very willing one. Being a prophet was difficult, dangerous, and a thankless duty. One day, God commanded Jonah to go to the city of Nineveh, which was the capital of Assyria. Assyrians were the enemies of God's followers, and God said, "I have seen terrible things in Nineveh. Tell them that in 40 days I shall destroy the city as punishment for the wickedness there. I order them to stop." But Jonah did not do as he was told. It would be foolish to tell them that, he thought. God would not destroy Nineveh. Instead, Jonah climbed aboard a boat taking grain and wine to Spain. God was angry that Jonah had disobeyed him and created a fierce storm that all feared would sink the boat. "Throw me overboard, and the storm shall pass," cried Jonah. "It is because of me you suffer the storm's anger." The crew threw Jonah into the sea, and it immediately became calm. But Jonah sank, expecting to drown. Instead, God sent a giant fish, some called it a whale, that swallowed him whole. Jonah lived inside the whale's belly for 3 whole days, praying for God's forgiveness. He was truly sorry for what he had done. God heard his prayers and allowed the whale to set Jonah down on a beach. Jonah hurried to Nineveh with his message, and the people there believed him and changed their ways. God was pleased, and the city was saved. Jonah was still unhappy. "I said you would not destroy Nineveh, and you didn't. Just let me sit out in the sun to die." But God made a large shady plant grow to keep Jonah cool until he began to feel better. By the next day, the plant had died and the hot sun blazed down once more. "I'm sorry the plant died," said Jonah. "It was kind to me." God said, You did not give that plant life, yet you're sorry it died. Imagine what I feel for the children and the innocent of Nineveh. I gave them life, and I saved them from death." Finally, Jonah realized how much God still loved and cared for the world he created. Daniel and the Lions. Daniel chapters 1 through 6. Now when King Nebuchadnezzar defeated Judah, he took many prisoners in Jerusalem, including a young boy, Daniel. Daniel was chosen with other boys to serve the king. He was educated well and in time became very wise. Then Darius became king and made Daniel one of his special advisors. Daniel was honest and loyal, but the other advisors were jealous and plotted against him. They knew that Daniel prayed to God every day and advised the king to make a law that for 30 days no one could pray except the king himself. Anyone who disobeyed would be thrown to the lions. Daniel heard of the new law, but still prayed 3 times a day, as he had before. He made no secret of it. The enemies of Daniel were delighted their plot had worked, and immediately told the king. Darius was fond of Daniel, but there was nothing he could do to save him. When it grew dark, Daniel was thrown into a deep pit, at the bottom of which paced many fierce, snarling lions. That night the king couldn't eat. He wanted no music. He couldn't sleep. He could not keep still. As soon as the sun rose, Darius ran to the lion pit. The king knew that Daniel must be dead, but he called down, "So, Daniel, was your God strong enough to save you from lions?" He did not expect an answer, but Daniel replied calmly, "He was, Majesty. God knew that I had done no wrong. He has watched over me and kept me from harm." Darius was amazed and very relieved. He set Daniel free immediately and ordered his jealous rivals thrown to the lions instead. The king quickly passed a new law. "Let all in my kingdom worship and respect the God of Daniel, for he is the one true God."